morning, good evening, everyone. This is Luda Kopkina with GAI Insights. Welcome to Daily AI News. Today, I have Paul, John from our regular crew, and Lucinda Lindy from Ironside. She's a principal data scientist in there. She is a regular contributor as a guest analyst. Welcome, Lucinda.
Great to be here. Thank you.
Well, the articles are at gaiinsights.com/articles. So please follow along. We have 6 articles to talk about, and we'll start with the first one. The first one comes from Verge, and it's about Google's Mixboard, sort of the AI mood board builder. What do you think about this one, John?
Yeah, I was on the border between important and essential here. I happen to serve on the advisory board of a promotional products company, and I just sent it off to the owner CEO today because I went in there and I said, "Hey, I need a promotional product solution. I need a backpack, I need a mug, and I need a pen." And it came back in 5 seconds with my logo, like our logo, on the thing, laid out. And that's, the granularity is not very good, but my goodness, the idea of being able to explore anything visual, and that's just what I just think there's a mega trend here, which is we're going to a post text world, and a lot of people have been talking about this for even decades, but this is really happening now. When you look at the combination of what's happening with images, what's happening with TikTok and YouTube Shorts and X and so forth, and we're going to have another article about voice. So I think I don't know. It's the visual communication. You look at every single indicator. Kids at Harvard can't read books anymore. Just everything is going visual impact, and the ability of this tool just to get your ideas down in visual modalities, and then to manipulate them across any presentation you want and so forth. So at least important, I'd even make the case for essential.
Yeah, so this is for marketeers is a dream, right? You can play around and select the right way and then promote it.
But just Luda, if I may, it's not about just marketeers. It's about communication.
Right.
That this is, and that's in every part of every organization. It's education, it's marketing, it's training, it's review. I'm just here at a board meeting, and the visual quality of what we have is not where it's going to be in 6 to 12 months.
No, you're absolutely right. But I think I was talking about marketeers will grab it probably first. Lucinda, what did you think?
Yeah, I thought it was an important article just because of the capabilities that John brought up. Also, it's being powered by Nano Banana, which everybody's losing their mind over. So I think that's a great part of it as well. And that this is really an intentional beta where they're looking for the feedback from people so that they can iterate it. So I thought it was important. I totally agree that, social media, marketing, etc., they're going to be the first ones to pounce on this and use it. And then I guess, yeah, but still important. Not quite an essential, but happy to hear, John.
Okay. So important from Lucinda. Paul.
I'm on the essential side. I believe a lot in this infographic image world. There's no reason for any knowledge worker not to have an image on their PowerPoint presentation, which is way beyond the marketing department here. Be able to convey their ideas here. And what's great about this tool is, one, it's shipping live in the beta stuff, but you can definitely go use it. But you put your concept in, and then you get back 10 or 15 completely different approaches. So it's much easier for the person to decide. What I'm doing right now is I do one infographic at a time. Create me this, create me 4 or 5 others here, and it tends to be down one path. This is like 6 or 8 different vectors here. So I want the AI leader to know about this. I want the AI leader to use this, and I want the AI leader to forward this to the sales and other executives, because this is a powerful tool to improve your visual communication.
Yeah, I was also on essential. So let's mark it as essential and proceed to the next one. The next one is a Deutsche Bank use case that is talking about reimagining research with AI agents. This is way down your alley. Lucinda, what did
Yep.
you think about this article? And please summarize it if you can.
Yeah, so what they did was they reimagined and they worked very extensively. I forget the name of the company now. To work on their delivery of AI-powered financial research. So they worked together with them for about a year. They really looked at the data and where it needed to be. They had it for a lot of different types of financial research, different aspects, but really leveraging off of Deutsche Bank's knowledge base, et cetera. They looked at guardrails, traceability, evaluations, et cetera. They found that it was modest types of productivities, but kind of versus what all the hype that we've been hearing about things. They're not replacing the analyst, but they're really augmenting the analyst, making the analyst more efficient. So I think it was a really, very detailed case from that point of view. They didn't give any actual numbers other than they could do this in 2 hours, et cetera, but not sort of savings or ROI or anything. I think maybe it's important because they were still saying, yep, you still have hallucinations, and sometimes there is some trust risk, change management and user adoption. They mentioned as implementation aspects that kind of slowed down the rollout, and it's a very good use case, and I think there are a lot of lessons in there for how to do it. Doesn't have the numbers, so that's the reason I gave it as important.
Thank you, Lucinda. What did you think, John?
Yeah, I was going toward essential in this one, and I hear you. Lucinda doesn't have the numbers. I mean, here we have Deutsche Bank, and they've got kind of a spotty past, but we can go into that later. But look, this is a central task of these organizations, and this has to do with their productivity. This has to do with their quality, their responsiveness for their, for their leaders. And I know they're saying, "Hey, we're not going to fire people." Baloney. Okay, this is, it's like, okay, we're going to augment people. Well, guess what? If you augment people, and one person can do the job of 5, maybe you're not firing people, but you're not hiring the other 4. And so I think this is a huge area. I have an investment in a data company, and I just sent it over to the CEO over there and said, is this good news or bad news for us? And they're saying, look, this is good news because we can do the same thing here. They have better proprietary data. It's just, I think the whole notion of how this kind of work gets done is just exploding. And this is such a central part. You got to remember that financial services garners a disproportionate amount of the profits in any developed country, especially the United States. So I think their GDP share is something like 4 or 5%, and their profit share is like 10%. So this is huge, and it's going to make them more profitable and incredibly competitive. And it's bad news for a whole bunch of liberal arts schools that just send their folks to Wall Street and to Fleet Street, and those kids are not going to get hired. So I was important to essential.
I see. So the article also talks about how they used RAG and how they made the answers stay within what they fed to the system internally, what the documents were fed to the system. And then they had evaluation systems that checked the references and adherence and the like. So this was also an important component of the case study. I was also on the important side. Paul?
Yeah, I was on important because that there's not enough on the financial benefits from this, but I am arguing for essential, although I'm really concerned, Lucinda, of all this great inflation on essential we seem to have here. So this is a couple different things. This is a company that's in the crucible, which is lots of digitization work that's already thing. It's a large company that's redefining part of their core value added. And 3, they're showing the architecture of what they're doing here. So I think those 3 things are really important for AI leaders to be equipped with. So when they're dealing with skeptics, and they continue to reinforce how important this is, that for companies in the crucible, they are redefining core processes now. We have moved well beyond, pilot theater at Deutsche Bank here to redefine here in 2 years or 18 months here. So it really is an important part of the financial management. Last thing I would say, we've been a really influx of financial management firms asking us to help them with 101 and 201 training. And if you really look at part of it is that they know the opportunities there, and their knowledge workers aren't adopting it fast enough because there's a huge drop off after the first 5% power users. So they know, and they're pushing on multiple different ways: process automation, which is this one, but also productivity improvement.
And let's not forget they're highly regulated in Europe.
Yeah. Okay. Put it as important, not inflate our ratings here, but because it has not that many financial implications discussed. Okay. Important it is. Let's proceed. The next one is the, let's see here. Is that correct?
It's the SAP.
Yes, I think it is. Yeah. Gemini Live.
The SAP.
Oh, SAP.
So the next one is SAP. So it is from AWS that usually does great use cases. It's about SAP transforming technical documentation for the mobile use. So and accelerating knowledge generation for SAP notes with Amazon Bedrock. It's actually, I liked this case because they talked about how important it is to get access, especially on the move, to the technical notes and get summarizations and answers very quickly that you can dig into later. And they've built essentially the whole architecture. They talk about what they've done, how they proceeded, how they selected, also give the architecture of, also talk about RAG, also talk about evaluation. So it is an interesting case. There's no impact numbers at all. So I was important on this one. Lucinda, what did you think?
Yeah, I thought it was important as well, but also similar to the one we just talked about. It's very meaty, right? It really talks in a lot of detail about how they did it. I think a very interesting part of this is that it's going mobile first. So that's actually, I think, a very important thing. That they have other observation, other things you can take out of it is like scaling the plumbing is heavy work. And that you don't always need a full agent to start. You can just start with something basic and then move forward. And that documentation and support is obviously, a very good use case. And the numbers are missing, but again, just like the other one, you have some details, you have some architecture. It's a meaty use case, and also for both of these two, they're really, getting more into like how these things actually work. And it's not so hypey. It's they're really like, we're talking about what really is going on there.
Yeah, and if you think about it, most companies, this is SAP, and they're talking about unstructured data, summarization, getting access to huge amounts of data and getting it at the fingertips of the people who need it. This is really a cool case. What did you think, John?
Well, I've recently been accused of great inflation. I was going to give this an optional because it's got, because I was talking about something that was a central activity in a major global institution supported by Google. And here we have, AWS with no numbers, coming after the slop of SAP, which is, 1980 software. So pardon me for putting this optional.
Okay, Paul, you have the final vote here.
I'm important. This is a good a legacy use case. A lot of companies are going to have this challenge. SAP still remains huge.
Yeah, it's still huge. It certainly will lose folks, but it is an interesting case. Okay, important it is. Let's proceed to the next one. Where is it? I'm sorry. We need Ankash.
It's a voice agents one.
Yeah. Okay. So this is Gemini Live API. This is a new live support and it's called Build More Powerful Voice Agents with Gemini Live API. It's really cool. And what did you think about this, John?
Yeah, I was going to give this an important. It's from Gemini. It's very, very powerful. The ability to deal with ambient sound, and and just this whole move toward, post word or text activity. Dialogue is, the dialogue is it's the operating system of humanity and interaction. And what we're doing right here. I mean, it's just. And to now have this as an easy use, I was really on the border between optional and important because it is a product announcement. There's a lot of activity in the space, but this is from Google. I think Google, is just. I mean, if you're paying attention to Google, they are coming back. I mean, when I say coming back, I mean if I were at OpenAI, I'd be really worried. I got the Chinese coming from one direction, and then and Microsoft just announced today that they're using Claude, in their models, and now we've got Google doing voice and video and nano. Anyway, so I was on the border, optional and important.
Okay, Lucinda, what did you think?
Yeah, same, optional to important. I do think the fact that this changes, moves voice from being a wrapper on text to now being a first class modality is it is important, and that's all the cool things that you're talking about. The low latency, just richer context, your ability to control tone, accent, style, etc. It makes it a very powerful tool. It does kind of open up more about impersonations and deepfakes, etc. But I do think that it's an important one to look at because it's really. It's a major advance. And as you say, Google is they are back, baby. And they are just, coming out with all sorts of new types of generative AI offerings in a lot of different directions.
Yeah. So Ashish is agreeing with you. He's saying that Google is killing it in the application space. And remember, Google was a lagger, right? Remember, we talked about at the beginning that they were slow. This was not happening and that was not happening. They're totally ahead right now. So certainly. So Paul, what did you think?
Yeah, definitely important. I think Google's clearly moved from tell me to show me. Last year, there were a bunch of tell me, and they had all those PR disasters. I also think it's really important the AI leader, and we've talked about this multiple times, to understand what these 3 or 4 major hyperscaler open AIs are doing. I had one executive about a week ago. They had, it's like 500 receipts. They were trying to OCR, and they couldn't get OpenAI or Claude to do it. And we remember one of the show that Gemini's OCR was doing really well. And I had in the back of my mind, I sent him that, and he fixed it right away. So, understanding where these differences are is important for AI leader. So an important rating for this.
Okay, even though Lucinda is right, it's a product announcement.
I know, and I started as optional.
Yeah, we talked you up. Okay, it's still we're doing it to ourselves.
I just want to say I am not party to this grading system. Okay.
Yeah.
As probably the only person here who's actually done a ton of grades. Okay.
But it is quite impressive, and they're leading the way. So I think it will be very much used, and the AI leader needs to know about it. So important it is. Let's proceed to the next one. Okay, the next one comes from Bain & Company. And the title is AI is transforming productivity, but sales remains a new frontier. So they talk about sales specifically and have some meaty things to say about it. Lucinda, what did you think?
Yes, I agree. This was a very meaty article. Also, kind of more grounded with more modest and non-hypey claims. I just thought it was really interesting that first of all, they went through and they looked at, what is it salesperson spent their time on? And if the salespeople can use, generative AI to help them increase their sales time, actually selling from 25% to 50%, that's actually 100% increase, right? So that's really good. Paul, I remember some of the early GAI Insights presentations that you did were on using this for sales and prospecting. But they also talk about some of the the barriers, which are that there are some people who will do the uptake, the small leading edge, but also people want they have their process and they want to do it the way they always did it. They're also being bombarded by a zillion different tools and like, okay, what do I use? There's so many different things, and then salespeople don't have time to try all those tools because they really do want to be out there selling. So I thought this was a meaty article on the sales aspect of this, and that it's an important article for the AI leader to think about, what is the workflow of a salesperson and how can you utilize generative AI?
Right, and there is this little little graphic laying out the sales by category, sales cycle by step, and then you can click on it and it shows you the opportunities in each step. And I thought it was also cool to note. Okay, so the rating, Lucinda, for this? Important. Okay, John, what did you think?
Yeah, I was going to give this an essential. We're doing some work in the same area. You talk about what's going to happen in 26. I think AI in the sales funnel, and when I say sales funnel, AI in the customer journey, everything from going from search engine to answer engine all the way through customer reservice and repurchase. I think that's going to be a huge area, and I think that the organizations that understand this, and here I would actually believe it's not just about efficiency; it's about growth. And I think we're going to see incredibly engineered, customer journeys in the sales process. And people who don't do this, they're going to get crushed because there's going to be so much noise, and so the sophistication here is it's going to be unbelievable. We're going to have profiles of people who to target, how to deal with them. Going back and mining existing customer service or relationships for new kinds of activities. It's just I think it's a very, very important area, and it's going to be very different from business to business and business to consumer. But both are going to go at this hammer and tongs over the next 15 months.
Okay.
So
I was also an essential. This is certainly a forwardable article quite a bit. There's also a very rich startup. A whole bunch of startups around this area with very innovative ways of getting lead generation and the like. So if AI leader is not paying attention to this area, that's not good. So where were you, Paul, on this one?
Definitely essential for the following reasons. One, I think we're seeing from public investors, private investors, particularly PE firms and boards, increasingly interest on how can AI help the top of the funnel sales, which is not where they were 12 to 18 months ago. Cost savings, one time, sales different. Second, I think for internal positioning, AI leaders need to know and be perceived by executives as always thinking about revenue growth and core value proposition. Even if the company's deciding initially just to do cost savings, because I think it's really important for the company internally to get a gestalt around AI that it's both and not just all this cost savings. And that's a lot of what the angst is about. And third is we're already seeing indications for some businesses. Monday.com was one of them where they lost a couple billion in market share because of the marketing moves here. So the impact of what's going on in sales and marketing is very real. And I don't still see enough executives aware of that. So for all those reasons, essential.
Yeah. Lucinda, did we talk you up?
You did. I mean, it's got so much upside because if you're increasing sales, that's very important. It is really meaty. They have a portfolio of 25 use cases across the sales journey. So there's a lot more that you can dig into if you want to. So yeah, I'm good for essential.
Okay, great. Essential it is. Let's proceed to the last one. The last one is from Liquid AI. It's a startup from MIT. Paul and John and Lucinda, all of us know it quite a bit because we've been talking to them since inception. And this is introducing the LFM 2.6 billion model, redefining efficiency in language models. So I like Liquid, so I'm a little biased. They have a convolutional architecture different from transformers that makes them very efficient on the edge. And they talk about the gains they've achieved. Here is, so they're in the middle here. Performance is quite a bit beating the models in this class, but I think it's optional for the AI leader. What did you think about this, John?
Yeah, definitely optional. I worry about our friends at Liquid because this is not this. People are not adopting this as a speeds and feeds issue right now, unless you have something that doesn't have a lot of competitive dimension to it. And I think I don't think that they are showing enough why their convolutional networks are a better path to growth and delivery. In this article, in the product announcements, and then I think they haven't thought through like where this is essential to have this differential benefit. And I think there are areas. So I agree with you. Look, there's a crowded market. It is architecturally much more interesting, and I could see them as an acqui-hire for somebody who wants to, one of the big hyperscalers or an 11 Labs or somebody who wants to get an alternative technology base for their core value proposition. But to me, our friends at Liquid have to have more context as to why they're differentiated, and this does not communicate that. Optional.
Yeah, but it's not just them. We haven't really seen much on the edge, and this is where it's mostly applicable. So they need to find a case or two and then focus on promoting them, I think. But it's an industry problem. It's not their problem per se.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, look there. I mean, you can imagine lots of places, right? You can imagine military applications. You can imagine, performance applications at the edge. You can imagine, lots of places where they can make the case for small models and why their architectural path is actually better, or at least you have to take a bet on them if you're one of the big houses. But they're not making any of that argument or showing it.
No, I agree. Lucinda, what did you think?
Yep, I agreed. Optional. It appears like an everyday miracle. I am, like a rooter of, rooting for Liquid AI because of their different approach. John, totally agree with you that, they are using a different architecture. There are some very, fundamental limitations in that or constraints that or tendencies that are in the transformer model. And as you said, if they can find the use cases where that transformer based models are struggling, but this different approach makes a big difference, I think that would be very helpful for them to be able to establish really a competitive advantage that other people can't duplicate. But optional as well.
Okay, going optional, Paul.
Yeah, definitely optional product announcement here. Definitely rooting for these guys. They are. I think one of the things they need to understand is this is a sport of kings. People raising $1, $10, $20 billion. If I'm one of the companies that raised $20 billion, one of the first things I'm doing is every time they get a good sales rep, I'm gutting them. So I'm going to make sure that every time they get a good sales rep, I'm hiring them away. These guys are going to roll away into a really interesting R&D project here. And Lucinda, someone said acqui-hire. I think it's a very interesting acqui-hire for one of the bigs, a little bit like sometimes we see Mistral out there, although they're getting a little more traction. But you have to get traction. And right now they're an R&D shop. And it's not clear to me they're going to get a lot more funding until they get more traction.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. We'll see them. Yeah, so we need to pass this to them nicely, and I'm sure they know. Okay, so to wrap up today, we have 2 essentials, 4 importance, and 1 optional. So that concludes our ratings for today. Paul, John, any announcements, and Lucinda?
We're super excited. We're having obviously the conference is sold out. We mentioned that, but we have confirmation on a live feed for day 1, day 2. That'll be free on YouTube. It'll be just a general session. We have 5 breakouts, but just general session. We now have 2 confirmed announcers or MCs for the day, and we'll be bringing up guests to talk on it. So it'll almost be like not quite a daily show. somebody suggested we should have EIO for each speaker, which I thought was, a little too much commentary on there.
Yeah, that
I love
would
it.
be really
Awesome.
cool. So
Yeah.
we'll be off on Monday and Tuesday because we will be at the conference. But on Tuesday, we will have a live daily AI news show on the stage, and we'll let you know the timing because I don't remember it now.
Yeah, but we definitely have a show tomorrow. So
Yeah, we'll have a show tomorrow, and we'll let you know when the Tuesday one are live. All right.
And Lucinda, thanks always.
Thanks
for your thoughtful
also,
commentary.
For the women, all the AI ladies, come to the Women in AI breakfast at the GAI Insights conference. I think this is going to be a great conference.
Yes, I'm moderating. Lucinda is facilitating one of the tables. So we are expecting you, and we're really looking forward to it.
And one last thing for the folks in Boston, we kick off with our very first Boston AI Week tomorrow. It's now 110 events on a shared calendar, so it's a lot of momentum around that.
Yes, thanks, Paul. Okay, thank you all. Thank you, Ashish and others for commenting. Really appreciate it. Lucinda, thanks for joining. We'll see you all tomorrow.